I didn't see Zion for a while after that, after the bench, after those words, I still love you. Everything changed. Or maybe nothing changed, but I changed, because once someone says that out loud, you can't just pretend they didn't. You can't pretend you didn't feel it echo inside you like thunder. I buried myself in routine, made school lunches, paid bills, smiled through dinners, but I wasn't there. Not really. My body went through the motions, but my soul was stuck on that bench. He didn't call. He didn't text, and a part of me was thankful, another part, devastated. Then one morning, my husband held my face in his hands and said, "You haven't been here. Where did you go?" I had no answer, just guilt that he didn't know about Zion. He didn't know how the girl he married had been built from broken promises and old letters that never arrived. That he didn't know that a ghost from my past had walked back into my life with a pulse and a voice and a face I still loved, and I didn't tell him, because how do you tell someone that your heart is still waiting at a train station from 20 years ago? But the guilt grew heavier every day. And so did the silence, until I found myself walking again, back to the library, back to the cafe, back to the places where the air still remembered him, and one day, I found him again, sitting quietly near the pond, reading a book. He looked up when he saw me. It didn't smile, that didn't speak, just looked, and somehow that was louder than anything he could have said. "I'm married," I whispered. He nodded. "I know. You deserve someone who's whole," I said. He finally smiled, but it was tired. "I never asked you to break anything. I just wanted to be remembered." And that shattered me. "I remember everything," I said, and it was true. The hallway glances. The first time he made me laugh. The way he said my name like it was a poem. "I remember everything too," he said, and I think we both knew that it was both a blessing and a curse. That we sat in silence for what felt like hours, and then he said, "I'm leaving this weekend." I swallowed hard, not because he was leaving, but because I had hoped he wouldn't, and I hated that part of me. "I need to go before I stay too long," he said. I nodded, because I understood too well. Before he left, he asked for one last walk, just like we used to. No words, no pretending, just footsteps beside each other, saying goodbye in silence. He didn't try to hug me, didn't ask for anything more. He just looked at me one last time and said, "You were my first home." And then he walked away, and I finally let him go. Not because I didn't love him, but because I did. That night, I sat in my garden alone. My husband was asleep, the kids tucked in, and I cried. For everything we never got to be, for the versions of us that only ever lived in memories. But something else happened too today. Yes, I cried. I healed. It wasn't fast. It wasn't clean. It wasn't pretty, but it was real. Zion was my love story. But he wasn't my ending, and I had to be okay with that, because sometimes, we don't get closure in the arms of the one who left. Sometimes, closure comes when we choose ourselves. I stayed in my marriage, not because I had to, but because I realized I didn't want to run anymore. My husband never found out. Not really, but one day, months later, he held my hand and said, "Whatever you were fighting, I'm glad you came back." And that was enough. I still think of Zion sometimes. A certain song, a smell, a streetlight on a rainy evening. He never really left me, and maybe he never will, but I'm okay with that now, because I don't need to forget him. To move forward, I just need to stop waiting. And now, when I look in the mirror, I see a woman who once waited at the edge of a life for someone who never came back, but I also see someone who learned how to walk forward anyway, not with closure, not with a perfect ending, but with peace, and sometimes, that's enough.